Hey there, I'm a DIY track guy and this is my humble garage. Today is Delrin door bushings and fuel filter replacement day. What do those two things have in common? Nothing. But full and fair disclosure, I'm hopelessly overconfident and dangerously underqualified, so everything from this point on is mostly useless. Alright, let's get these Garage Star Delrin door bushings installed. It's going to be a tough one. I hope you're ready. Oh look, it's done. All we need is a 10mm socket to remove the original door bushing, held in by 2 bolts. And here's our stock rubber bushing. You can see how compliant it is. This way is not too bad. Actually, it's quite stiff this way. Compare this with our Garage Star Delrin bushing. This is much more rigid. Just give it a little spritz of waterless car wash. It's just what I got lying around. You can see that this replacement Delrin bushing has ovalized holes to allow the bushing some adjustment. The good thing with having these stains here is I can see exactly where center should be. Just line it up with the stains and we're good to go. And just like that, it's installed. We got ourselves a Wix 33289 fuel filter replacement, and it's going to be installed in this location. So what I've done is raised the car up, removed the wheel, and now we can see the cover right there. It's held in by a few plastic Phillips head screws, which we'll remove right now. This one's frozen in there. This plastic screw won't turn. That's okay, we were able to rotate this out of the way and now we have access to our fuel filter here. Nice and seized, chances are it's never been replaced. 31 years. Now the fuel filter should come away. So before we disconnect the hoses from the fuel filter up here, this fuel line and this fuel line, I'm going to use a hose pincher to pinch off each of these lines, and hopefully fuel will not come pouring out of it. Ooh. So over here on our extremely messy workbench, I have the old fuel filter still connected to the bracket. I didn't want to disconnect everything because I would like to align the new filter exactly in the same position, but I do notice that the inlet and outlet are in slightly different positions, old one versus new one. So you'll notice that if I align the bottom ones, the alignment of the top one seems to be quite a bit off. Anyway, let's take this out. That's interesting. there seems to be 3 ridges around the cylinder. It's hard to see here on camera, I don't know if you can catch that. There's also, didn't notice this before, but there's these notches on the fuel filter bracket that likely correspond with the ridges on the fuel filter itself. So why don't we line those up and see what happens. So we'll put that on like that and see if it's clocked correctly to allow us to slide the fuel lines on here. But there we go. Let's put it on the car. Ah! Dirt in the eyes. Ah, that stings. Whew. I'm even wearing safety glasses here. Okay, and there we have it. This little cover is back in place. Gas smell is really getting to me here. Ooh, yeah, it feels good. So before we put the car back on the ground, I want to prime the pump, give it a start, make sure I did it right. Something I'm a bit curious about is what's inside this fuel filter. So I want to cut it open. It's going to make some sparks and there's fuel inside here, so there's a potential for a fire. So why don't you just keep watching and see if I blow myself up or this garage. Either way, it should be pretty fun. Okay, we've got it to a point here where I peeled this back like a banana peel. Now that it's completely apart, you can see where the ports are on the filter, where the fuel goes through the casing. And then in between, inside the filter, this is a central core to it. It looks like it's just a piece of aluminum. So this is the paper material that's inside the fuel filter. It has a very interesting construction. It's has this alternating assembly where it's joined up here, down here, and then it sort of zigzags across, presumably so that the fuel has to pass through the filtering elements and pick up any contaminants or debris on its way. Overall, for a 30-year-old filter, I'm assuming that this is original. It does look quite dirty, but I was expecting it to be worse. All right, let's wrap this up. Best and worst parts of the install. For the door bushings, the good thing is that the door close sound is pretty tight now. For the fuel filter, it's another piece of basic maintenance using cheap parts that are readily available, and it gives me a bit of peace of mind to know that the fuel is flowing and the filter is filtering. Worst parts of the install, the door bushings. I don't know that they actually do anything. I've read the description, I know what they're supposed to do, kind of tie that door into the structure of the vehicle and make it overall stiffer. I can't say that it actually did that. If someone is expecting that, you know, this is going to make the car feel like it has frame rail braces or a butterfly brace and fender braces and a roll bar, I think that person would be pretty disappointed. But if you set your expectations accordingly, that it's a pretty cheap part, pretty easy to install, and the door close sound, that nice solid thunk, is pretty cool. So with those kind of expectations, I think it's a pretty good buy, but buyer, use your own judgment. All right, what do you think? Did I get it all wrong? Did I screw it all up? What would you have done differently? Please let me know in the comments. That's it from the Mostly Useless Garage. Take care of yourselves and the ones that you love. You keep being awesome. I'll keep being useless. Thank you so much for watching.